How can you trust your child's future to a lottery system? We had Pawan Verma on the first part of our program tonight. Now his son Vedant Verma, who's representing private schools in the court, is joining us on this broadcast. With us also Rekha Krishnan, principal of Vasant Valley School. We've got Ashok Agarwal. He's a social jurist, president of the All India Parents Association. You're the man fighting the case against the schools in the court. With us also Sarita Asarna, a parent. She'd been through hell, she says, when she tried to get her child into a nursery school. I want to ask Ashok Agarwal first. This is a complete lottery. Now, how can this be acceptable? Should parents not have some sense of whether or not it is possible for their child to get into a certain school or not? Because otherwise, you've just turned it into a complete lottery and made parents' life miserable and hell completely.
You see, right from very beginning, our case is that distance means neighborhood and draw of lot is the only formula which is justified, transparent and fair.
Now, how can draw of lot be justified and how can distance be a factor? Because what this has done is, it's created a whole different scam. There are certificates being issued, rent receipts, where people are claiming that they're staying in areas next to important schools, whereas they're actually staying far away. So you, by virtue of what you're doing, are actually creating another scam.
No. It is.
Is this happening or not, Mr. Agarwal?
Whenever you... Is
this happening or not?
No.
Has the incidence gone up or not?
Not sure how much percentage it is happening. It is for every good thing, you see, a little percentage is always...
No, what is the good in this? The fact that you've turned it into a complete lottery, I don't understand what is good.
Good is that a large number of children which were earlier deprived in this process will have a right to equal participation in the admission process.
Let me put that question to Rekha Krishnan.
Yes.
Because why should schools be entitled to a 20% management quota? Those who are rich and influential find some way of using what they call jugaad to get their children in through the back door. Equally deserving but less well-off children don't get an opportunity. So why should schools such as yours be allowed to have a management quota in the first place?
I don't think I will answer the question on the management quota, but I think we need to
look at... He's saying that the management quota must be abolished.
Even if you abolish the management quota,
so what's the argument? You're insisting that the management quota be allowed.
Our fight is not about the management quota, Rahul. Our fight is about autonomy for private schools, which is perceived by some as management quota. We are fighting for autonomy. If we have been given the choice for everything in our country, if democracy is about freedom of choice, then how come for 13 years of my child's education, and education being seen as a license for growth, for prosperity, for advancement of our skill sets, etc. How can that be left to choice?
Ashok Agarwal, what you're trying to do goes against the idea of private enterprise. You have a question for me.
I have a question for Mr. Agarwal. The country is going to face elections in 2014. Why shouldn't we leave the choice of the leaders of our country to vote?
What you're suggesting goes against the idea of private enterprise. Why should you or anyone else dictate how a school runs its business? What business is it of yours?
Let us understand that in our country, education is the only area where legally commercialization is prohibited, profiteering is prohibited. There is no other area where such thing is there.
No, but you're not answering the fundamental question. No. Why should someone dictate to a school management whom they can and cannot take? It's their decision, it's their school.
In our system, private schools are only an extension of the government system. So they should also fall in the line. Autonomy does not mean...
We are following the line.
The point is private schools get cheap land. Yes. They get it because they adhere to a certain set of social guidelines laid down by the government.
I must disagree over here. The land that private schools get are at institutional rates. When Delhi was being divided as a city, then there were residential areas, there were commercial areas, and similarly there were institutional areas. And people actually had to be coerced to buy this land to set up schools because it wasn't a lucrative business. Even today, like Mr. Ashok Agarwal very rightly said, commercialization is not allowed, profiteering is not allowed. However, these schools still bought this land, they still made these buildings, they still hired their staff, they still pay these salaries, they run the entire administration, which is no less than any other business. Then why are we being apologetic about a management quota? If I, as a management of a school, want my child to study in my school, why is it not being allowed today?
But it denies to less influential parents the opportunity to bring their child into that same school.
Rather than